Hey, good morning. Can you believe it's day 10 of Vlogmas and Bookish Advent, and that means, say it with me folks, there's only 15 days till Christmas. 15 days! And it looks interesting. It's called, I can tell it's called The Undertow, but I can't tell what it's about yet. The Undertow by, The Undertow by Joe Baker. Now, Joe Baker, that name sounds familiar to me. So this is the book. And I just realized why Joe Baker sounds familiar. I think I'm thinking Josephine Baker. And I know they're entirely different people. But I do think that's what it is. And the reason that I'm laughing is because it just reminded me of that episode of Friends where Joey is told to use the name Joseph, I think, and to think of a better last name, and Chandler convinces him to use Joseph Stalin. And he's like, people would remember that, I think. And Chandler's like, yeah, you'd think. And I think that I just did that with Joe Baker and Josephine Baker. And I could edit this out. I totally could, but I won't. I'll share it. Real talk here on Chickie Bean Loves Books. Today I'm gonna have a dinner party. No, not a real dinner party, a literary dinner party, and it's gonna be awesome. Without further ado, the literary dinner party tag. The first question is, are you likely to ask people at a dinner party what they are reading? My response is yes. That's always my go-to question when conversation begins to lull. I ask people what they're reading now, or I ask them what the last book was that they read, and I always ask what a person's favorite book is. And I think I could get away with this when some people can't, and in situations that some people can't, because I am a teacher. And people kind of expect that kind of question from a teacher. So I would ask it anyway, though, I think. The second part of this question is, have you ever gotten any great recommendations by asking this question? And I'm sure that I have, but I couldn't really remember any. So the second question is, which authors would you like to invite to a dinner party? I had so much fun with this one. At first, my dinner party was about 50 people long. We would need a really long table for that. But I narrowed it down. And so my final dinner party list of invitees is Jane Austen, Emily Bronte, Kay Tempest, William Blake, Madeleine L'Engle, and Sophie Kinsella. There's a few people in there who have partnerships in life and in death. There's a few love-hate relationships in there. There's a few really great talkers in there to keep the conversation going, and they are all deep thinkers. And so I would be really excited to see what kinds of conversations came about, say, between Emily, who did not appreciate Jane's work, or Kay, who is so highly influenced by William. I think it would be an amazing group of people to have over for dinner at the same time. The third question is, now this is a different dinner party. Which characters would you invite over? So these are all fictional characters who would be coming to a totally different dinner party. These would not be intermingling with my authors. So for this dinner party, I would invite Larry Darrell from The Razor's Edge. I would invite Anne Shirley from Anne of Green Gables and the series. I would invite Becky Brandon from the Shopaholic series. I would invite Ophelia, but not Shakespeare's Ophelia. This is Ophelia from the YA French fantasy series, The Mirror Visitors. And then I would also invite Emma Woodhouse from Emma by Jane Austen, Jo March from Little Women, and Hermione Granger, as well as Albus Dumbledore. I think that hilarity would ensue, as well as great deep philosophical conversation, and there are a lot of really great talkers and storytellers in this group. I think that would be a really, really interesting group of people, fictional though they may be, to have in the same room at the same time. The fourth question is, have you ever wanted to invite a historical figure over for dinner after reading a biography or autobiography? And the answer is yes. This year I read the book Lady's Life in the Rocky Mountains by Isabella Bird. And in this book, a British woman writes letters home to her sister. This is a true story. She writes real letters home to her sister in the 1800s about her travels across the United States. And she goes out into what we consider the Wild West, wants to, as a single woman, wants to explore the Rocky Mountain range. And it's a phenomenal story on a million different levels. She is definitely a product of her time. There are some questionable ideas that she has, but for the most part, she's incredibly progressive. To be a single woman traveling alone through what is considered at the time completely wild territory, she's got guts. She's got some serious guts. I think she would be such a strange and interesting person to have a conversation with. So yes, totally intrigued by this woman, would bring her over for dinner after having read these letters that she wrote to her sister. The fifth question is, what would you serve at one of these parties? Either the one with the authors, the one with the fictional characters, or the one with Isabella Bird. And my answer for all of them is probably a taco bar. Guys, you know, a taco bar, people can build their own tacos or burritos, and they can use the foods that are in their diet. They can be gluten-free and still create a delicious meal. They can be vegetarian or vegan and still have access to an incredible meal, or they can be an omnivore and still have access to an incredible meal, and everybody can take the portion sizes that they desire and eat their fill. So it's really individualized, but also feels very complete. So yeah, taco bar, burrito bar. Question number six. Name your favorite meal scene or screen adaptation of a book. And for me, that's easy. That's the Banquo dinner party scene where Banquo's ghost is sitting in Macbeth's chair and Macbeth is going crazy and Lady Macbeth is like, oh, he's just ill, he'll be fine in a moment. Yeah, things are going down right there, and it's hilarious, but also, I'm sure, frightening if seen in the right way. But when I read it, it's always just like farcically hilarious. And it's one of my favorite dinner party scenes in all of literature. Question number 7. Are there literary scenes that you love revolving around food, but not a formal meal? Well, yeah, there are lots. The preparing to eat the breakfast and then taking it to the neighbor's meal in Little Women. All the baking scenes in City Baker's Guide to Country Living. If you haven't read that book, there are some really delightful scenes in the kitchen where things go wrong and things go right. And I love all the depictions of baking. Anne of Green Gables, the scene where, of course, Anne invites Diana over for cordial and ends up getting her drunk. So that's one of my favorite scenes that revolves around food but is not a dinner party. Number 8, name a favorite cringeworthy dinner party scene. And I don't really have one, but what I've written down here is, I don't think it's a favorite either, but it's definitely something that I think about and see represented in other stories, and that would be the Mrs. Havisham's wedding party, you know, the cake that's still there and everything untouched, and that idea of holding on to something unfinished and not being able to move past a moment, getting stuck in a moment. And in this case, it's represented by attire and a party, right? And a cake that should not be touched. So I guess I'll say that, but I don't think I really have a favorite one that goes awry. And then number 9, when the pandemic ends, what will you serve at your first dinner party, or what will you take to the first potluck you attend? One of my favorite meals to cook for people is salmon, spinach salad, and rosemary French fries. And in fact, that's the last meal that I gave to a friend. I had a friend who helped me move from one city to another, and now she lives all the way across the country, and I can't give this to her again anytime soon. But the evening after we moved in, I think we got takeout the first night, but the second night she stayed with me in the new place before returning to her own home. I made her salmon and spinach salad and rosemary French fries. It's simple, but so delicious, and the perfect kind of meal to kind of just sit over for a really long time. French fries make every meal last longer. And so, yeah, really satisfying and conversation conducing and slows things down and suitable for any time of year. What booktubers would you like to invite to this literary dinner party? So in other words, who am I tagging? Consider yourself tagged. Hannah tagged specific people, but I just really don't feel comfortable doing that yet. So if you watch my channel, or if you see my Instagram, I'll tag whoever's in Instagram as well. But if you see this or you see this tag and it intrigues you, I had a whole lot of fun, especially figuring out combinations of people to invite to a literary dinner party. That was really fun for me. So if this tag intrigues you, consider yourself tagged. Tag your it. And I will definitely be looking to see who else has done this tag. So if you do it, please let me know in some way, shape, or form. And also don't forget to tag Hannah so that she knows that her tag is moving on into the future. Happy 10th day of Vlogmas. I still can't believe there's only 15 days till Christmas. 15 days till Christmas. There's only 15 days till Christmas? And it's fun times, fun times. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Happy Vlogmas. Like and subscribe if these videos are of interest to you at all. I really do appreciate it. See you tomorrow.